Good morning, the Viking menace lurks, but today we finish off our recreation of St. Paul's Cathedral. Welcome back to MorningCraft. So I took a week off, but we're well on the way to having a completed second cathedral. However, we're still further away than it may seem. We have holes riddling the ceiling, and most of our walls are flat slabs of diorite. And so today we're going to be taking care of every single one of the details, like copying this cool balcony area across to the other side. But as you can see, there's so much to do. First of all, we got to get rid of all these small pieces of castle left over from what used to occupy this space. And with that done, we have a fresh facade ready for work. So let's start working on some windows for this blank pasty wall. It's these tiny details which are going to take this building from a big boring box to an intricate and beautiful design. Although it is pretty nice already. So with a little bit of work, I managed to come up with some simple designs for windows, and then I had to copy these all across the building. A lot of these sections are repeating, so I only had to come up with 3 simple window designs to finish off all of the walls. But before we can finish off these walls, let's go to a quick story.
The Earl of Thaldrim rushed across to the trade port of Ladogen. While Thaldrim did not have a fleet, the Earl would certainly be able to acquire one from Mayor Jansen. For a price, of course. Meanwhile, on the edge of Endslake, the soldiers posted to ward off the Viking invaders had received a letter of warning from the Terrible Two.
Let's see, what have we got here? Pay the Danegeld or else. Well, looks like we'll have to pay him. You there, how much is it?
Across the bay, the soldiers heard murmurs from the Vikings. They heard a few words, gold, carrots, but they had no clarity on the fee. Harlan Ironshield stood upright and roared at Harold.
We never pay anyone Danegeld, no matter how trifling the cost, for the end of that game is oppression and shame, and the nation that plays it is lost.
So we're back and we have designs for each of our window sections. But for me to really test these out, I had to bring them to the very front of the building. This has to be the most ornate and intricate section of the building, so it's a good place to test out all the little details. The motifs that work here at the front are going to be copied all the way around the building. And let me tell you, I added a bunch of detail. The huge blocky pillars at the front were made skinny using diorite walls, and I added a bunch of details to what should be like a marble picture almost, using coral fans and armor stands. Each of these ledges is chiseled quartz mixed with diorite walls, and overall I'm really happy with this front area. The warm glow of these lanterns adds a pop of brightness in the night, which is a nice contrast to the bright shining that we get from the diorite when it's underneath the sun. And with the front complete, it's time to copy these designs all the way around the building, which you can see I've done here. And now our cathedral is starting to take on a real intricacy from each and every angle. But of course, we still have a bunch of issues with our roof. Story time.
Better to simply pay than to have to fight these guys before the Earl returns.
Harold, you are yourself unready, unfit for command of this defense. I have held lesser fortresses against stronger foes, with fewer men. Until the great Earl returns, I command these battlements.
You have held lesser fortresses against stronger foes, with fewer men? Then tell me, old man, did you fight like a wolf? Or did you cower like a sheep behind your walls? waiting for your enemy to grow bored. You mistake patience for wisdom, but walls do not win battles. They are nothing but tombs for men too afraid to fight. Stay here. Command your battlements if it makes you feel strong. But while you wait for your great earl to return, I will be out there. Hunting, raiding, breaking them before they ever reach us. Or perhaps you would rather sit on here, waiting for the enemy to knock.
Alright, look at those horrible gaps in our roof. It's time we sort those. And so, as we fast forward time, we can see how these horrible gaps are covered up by these sort of almost diorite mouldings. Each of them has a nice stone base at the bottom, and these provide some extra room for details. I also added in some lanterns to our central dome, and with all of that complete, our cathedral is coming together. But for me to be happy with this cathedral, we had to copy one of the circular patterns from this tower all the way to the very back of the cathedral. And you can see we've placed it there, on that sort of semicircular outcropping. But with all these details added, and a splash of lanterns added throughout the building, I think it's time for us to call it on Cathedral number 2. This one has taken hours to put together, and I had to read a ton of architectural diagrams from when it was built. But looking at this completed build gives me the same sense of joy as looking at our original cathedral in Mornington. And as someone who grew up in London, it gives me a real sense of home to be able to sort of embed this piece of London history within the very heart of the Thaldrim Vale. So watch with me as day turns to night on our brand new cathedral. And remember, when things get dark, always look for that shining beacon of light. And if that's not something you can find, just remember that the very coming of night is all part of a cycle that brings about a new day. So thank you for watching. It's pretty good to be back. Had a very busy week, and it was good to take a bit of time off to really reorganise what I wanted to do. Some cool vids coming up. I think we're going to see Velkaport soon. Never paid Dane Geld either. Bad idea.